drinking. Let's tell stories about being sober.
We're done. Yeah. We've got nothing to talk about when we're sober.
From a place called Winnipeg.
Phrases.
Still got it. Still the theme song.
I love this as a theme song. It really fits. Welcome back to Winnipeggers 6, even though what?
Even though it's not really about Winnipeg, it's about Saskatoon. But
well, I know, but it's by the Guess Who are from Winnipeg. And like Dave said, next time we'll use the live one where it says from a place called Winnipeg. And off they come. But we're back. Winnipeggers number 6. Doing great every week here. And last week we had a lot of fun with the Doppelganger show. And we were talking about the Poppy peeing on the couch and how that relates to Dave's issues with his poopy pants. And then we couldn't remember the Twitter address. The Twitter address was at Spewy Memes, but they actually spelled Spewy wrong.
I think it's Dave Memes, but okay.
No. This is the actual handle. I looked it up. So we're gonna put this on the screen. We want everybody who's watching this to follow Spawy Memes. Speve. How would you pronounce that? Sounds like Catherine.
Oh, weird.
Speve.
Yeah, okay.
Speve Memes.
Yeah.
So go follow Spawy Memes, and
he's got 12 followers right now.
Yeah, and then they'll put more funny memes from this show up as we come up with great new material, because everything we do is hilarious.
That was great.
yeah.
So this week's topic is my topic, and it's funny because you guys I thought this would be a great one for everyone, but apparently no one can remember this. But the idea was remembering kind of the early years of drinking, the first time you got drunk or early years of drinking. But you guys didn't have a lot of memories of this, or maybe you're going to make them up or whatever. But I vividly remember the first time I got drunk, and the second and third. I remember it like it was yesterday. How could you not forget that? Do you guys remember your first lay as well? Your first lay ski?
Nah.
I wasn't really there.
Boring.
Still waiting for that one. We know that Rybo at least has been laid once, for sure.
At least.
Yeah.
At least. And me twice. So we've got that going for us. Dave, not sure about you yet.
We're not sure.
Oh, yeah, twins. I was like, don't you have 3 kids?
Exactly. So actually, we could even create a banner for. I should have we've never had a banner yet for this show, and we should. Look at this. I pop it up. I do it so quickly. Boom.
Yeah.
And there it is. Boom. Winnipeggers number 6. There you go. Nice. So early years of drinking is kind of where we're going at here, and. I remember when I was a kid, you guys must have done this, when you would, your dad would have a liquor cabinet, and I don't know if he would measure the levels of the alcohol. So you would make what was called either shit mix or swamp juice, one of the two. Shit mix is more apropos, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And what you would do is you would take a little bit from each bottle and fill up another bottle. You get a Coke bottle or something like that. And then you'd fill up, a little bit of gin, a little bit of vodka, a little bit of creme de la menthe, a little bit of Southern Comfort.
But a little blue Caraco in there. Exactly. A little washer fluid.
Thanks, Lon. And you would then have this abominable concoction.
Horrible.
And you would drink it. And it's so unbelievable to think that we used to do that, because this would just be horrible, pure alcohol, and you couldn't really mix it with anything because there's nothing that goes with all these things.
Do you remember?
I remember one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Ryan. I remember trying to hide it, and one time I put it in an old hairspray bottle.
Oh, that's what I was just gonna say.
No way, really?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like washed it out as good as I could, and like had this shit mix in there. And I remember I put this. My dad had this banana liqueur stuff that just overpowered everything.
Yeah.
And I was walking around the party spraying people in the mouth with it because you could still use the
Oh, like
sprayer.
the plastic like L'Oreal.
Just a shot of. Ugh.
To me,
Oh,
it was
man.
always the gin that would overpower everything. Like it didn't matter what you put in there. Just thinking about it, like I remember we used to buy those albums. They would clip the hole through.
10.
What's that?
4 for 10 albums. Where yeah.
And I remember there was so many heavy metal albums that would be on like, Bonsai labels or whatever. But for some reason, it wasn't Merciful Fate, but it was some like kind of shitty satanic band. For some reason, I had it. I remember I was listening to it. Maybe it was Pile Driver, Metal Inquisition, and drinking this shit mix. Like, this is the worst party I've ever been to in my life. And I'm by myself.
Yeah. That banana liqueur is the grossest stuff. Little side note, I'm watching the Larry Sanders show last night, and it's near the end of their entire show. And his show is going to be taken over by Jon Stewart, and Hank Kingsley finds out, and he's just pissed off, and he gets drunk on banana liqueur. And Scott Thompson, whatever his character name on the show was, wakes him up in the morning, and he's lying in the office, and he's just rude and mean. And he goes, "What did you drink?" He goes, "Banana liqueur." He goes, "My breath smells like a monkey's ass." And it's just the best. It's just like typical, perfect. Hey now. But yeah, but like you said, the banana liqueur, the gin would go through it. So then you would just take this bottle of whatever, hide it out in your jean jacket, if that's what you're wearing. Or maybe remember the rule on Winnipeggers is you don't use the letter J, and then just go walk in the park and drink this stuff and just force it down your throat. And how we didn't just end up puking everywhere or the alcohol. But there's always some chick that got alcohol poisoning over the weekend. You know, the doctor get pumped or something like that, right? That's because they didn't take the hairspray out enough of the bottle.
You got to wash that bottle really good.
Yeah,
I remember that. There's a girl called Tammy Babbings. I think her nickname might have been Tammy Boobings because she had well-developed breasts for that age. I think she one day. Where's Tammy's not in school on Monday? Yeah, she had to go to the hospital for the weekend and get her stomach pumped from drinking too much.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, never happened to me. Almost though.
Yeah, many times.
But your dad, like we said before, your dad worked for the liquor commission, right, Rybo? So you had all of this alcohol in your house.
Tons, and we would do the same thing where you'd water down, you'd take a bit of a bottle, and then you'd water it down. And we had like a huge like Texas Mickey of like Canadian Club that my dad said he never had a sip of it, and it was just, it was done. But funny, the first time I ever really got drunk was not taking alcohol from my dad. It was from my friend Al Campbell. We were hanging out in his camper that he had, and there was a bottle of vodka. That's vodka. We don't know.
Of course.
And it was like I think it was Smirnoff 2.6, and we went to Dwayne Klodka's party, who rhymes with my favorite drink. And I remember like we were at the party and no one was really drinking. I was 14 at the time, and I drank. I was trying to be the crazy guy, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Rybo's so nuts." I drank 4 styrofoam cups full of straight vodka in like
oh God,
in like I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes or something like that. And everyone's like, "He's gonna doing it again." No mix or anything like that. And I was the life of the party for about an hour. And we ended up
so you think.
Yeah. We ended up going, we used to hang around this park called Canoe Bay, which is really close to 7-Eleven and the McDonald's. Everyone used to hang out there. And the cops would always raid Canoe Bay, and it's cops, and they drive in. There was this place they could drive in, and everyone would just scramble and hop over fences and stuff. So I remember being there really drunk. The cops showed up, and that's kind of the last thing I remember is like running and trying to climb over a fence, and I just fucking turfed. I don't remember anything else. I just heard the rest of the stories. People were like dragging me around, and I was just puking there was a church nearby, and I was just puking over the church, and
I'm gonna puke
all the stuff. I know. I feel gross telling about it. And then I remember at one point, the only thing I really remember is like opening my eyes, like a scene from a movie where you just open it and I see a police officer there, and then that was it. And I woke up in my parents' basement, and I was like, "Oh, it was just all a dream." And then I could smell puke, and then I said, "Nope, That was real.
It's reality.
That was real. And I had all these marks on my stomach and stuff. Like they were literally dragging me by my feet. My friends were dragging me around. And we were 14. So when the cops showed up, they just left me and everyone ran. And they're just like, who is this kid? There's no identification or anything like that. No one knew who I was. And Dwayne Klodka came back and actually said who I was. So at least my dad could come and pick me up. So I didn't have to spend the night in the drunk tank and get my stomach pumped.
14. I remember drinking pina coladas that night. And see, that's the thing. I remember one time me and Rock Rumpel, Warren Rumpel, we got some vodka and
R3K OR2 641
R3K O2J6. Yeah. And we started drinking vodka with raspberry juice. And to this day, I still can't drink raspberry juice because we got so drunk off it and then started puking everywhere. And the puke was red. It was dyed. It looked like we were puking blood because it was all this red raspberry juice. And to this day, whenever I smell red raspberry or even see it, it makes me start feeling like queasy.
Like kryptonite for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that was very, very early on. Cause like you said, you would take what you could get and just go with it. And then I remember like going to a party at Shipham's house after eating a DJ's pizza and this, I think it was vodka and the red raspberry juice and just being on the front yard, all fours, doggy style, just bapping. And it's red and there's puke in it. And I think we had just seen like AC/DC and Queensryche opening or something, and they're playing some. I remember Who Made Who was hot at the time, and hearing that going on, like all of these sort of memories combine to just bring you back to that time frame, you know.
Episode 6, puke.
Episode 7, puke. You know, and another, like I remember there's something we got to go back to here that we didn't talk about during house parties, Dave. We got to talk about Lon's party, but I remember going to a New Year's Eve party in about probably 86 or 87. I kind of knew so it's one of those ones where you go and you know some people, but you don't really know a lot. And you know, getting super drunk. I remember so drunk. I asked a girl like the question, like, "So do you have a boyfriend?" That would be the opening line, right? And if she said no, then you would talk to her. And if she said yes, you would leave her alone. Of course, she said yes. And then going home and the first proverbial time of the bed spins. You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just the worst feeling in the world where it literally feels like the bed just going around and around and around. And it's like, you know, it's New Year's Eve. You're not supposed to be this way, but just that fucking.
It's the worst. Yeah. And the only way to feel better is to puke because you won't get off that at all. Yeah. That's the worst feeling.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But the thing that's good about Winnipeg too, though, is in the wintertime when you're drunk or you're hungover and you go outside, that hangover goes away fast because it's so cold. Yeah. You know, but like,
and the puke doesn't stink as much in the winter.
You're buried in the snow.
Easier to clean up. There are benefits of minus 30.
How many times have you puked from drinking? Would you say?
It's been a while. Like the last time I puked is like when I told the story when I puked on the plane with Hogan and Kevin Nash. But before that, it had been, I don't know, 30 years, maybe 25, 30 years. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
You know, you feel like shit now, but I don't think none of us are at that stage where you're actually puking because we're
actually. I puked last summer, and it's the first time I probably puked in 25 or 30 years from drinking. And I was out with Lee Wren, okay, and Scotty, who owns or manages or whatever that Palomino, okay, great guys to drink with. Jeff Lowry's in Red Cup Jeff, Las Vegas, in town visiting, and we went down in Osborne Village, and we're just drinking the regular vodkas. But Scotty kept buying Jameson shots. Another Jameson's. I mean, I must have had 9 shots of Jameson's with our regular drinking, you know, which is already sick. Excessive, yeah. And I leave with Lee. You know, Lee doesn't drink, so he's driving, and it's like 2:30 in the morning. We're heading down Portage Avenue, and it's about half an hour drive from Osborne Village back to the hood, back to St. James where we are. And And I said, Lee, pull over, man. I think I'm going to be sick. And Lee's like, oh, you'll be fine. That's what he says. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm dizzy. I'm going to throw up everywhere. He goes, you'll be fine. I said, pull the fucking car over. And he pulls over Portage Avenue. I push open the passenger side and I projectile 10 feet or something ridiculous. It's just my whole body is just, I had taken a plane the day before. So I get nervous traveler, can't, take a dump ski or anything when I'm on the plane. So everything I had in me came out of my mouth, if you can imagine that. It was a mixture, diarrhea puke, we call it in the business of puking and shitting your pants. So Lee hears my puke hit the concrete on Portage Avenue. And he starts puking, and he hasn't had a drink in 5 years. He's puking out the driver's side onto Portage Avenue. A cop pulls up behind us. This is a true story. A cop pulls up behind us, turns his lights on, gets out of the car, and just sees me hanging over, throwing up out of the passenger seat, Lee out of the driver's side, and he gags and walks back to his car and drives away. There was nothing illegal going on here. Nothing that we would, Lee been sober for years, but just the guy just got, and it was a murder scene on my side of things, by the way. Lee probably had mine was the Peter North of puking. Lee, little dribble, 90-year-old Yiz scene.
Yeah.
What one last white tear out of Lee's vile puke mouth. Hi, Lee.
Oh man, I remember when we were in Mexico. There's this. You guys have ever had mezcal? So tequila is tequila. Mezcal is like a stronger version of tequila. So I was with this big giant Tongan, like from the Isle of Tonga, like Samoan. His name is Haku, King Haku, and still one of the best guys you'll ever meet in the business. But this guy, Samoan guys and Islanders can drink. They're nice, but they'll drink like motherfuckers and they get violent when they get drunk.
Oh, they're the best.
So yeah. So we were drinking this mezcal, and then he decides that we're going to go do aerobics in the morning at the gym because they aerobics. You heard me right? Yeah. It's at 8 a.m. I'm like, whatever. His name is Tonga. My name is Tonga. I'm from Tonga. His name was Tonga from Tonga. It's like, dude, we're not going to get up at 8 in the morning, go do aerobics. Like, we're doing aerobics, brother. I'm like, whatever. So I go pass out, 6 in the morning. Hour later, it's Tonga. He's there. Let's go do some aerobics. So I was doing aerobics at the gym with literally like 7 Mexican ladies, and Tonga just sat in the corner, like looking at me, laughing. And I'm kind of like the younger guy, so you got to kind of do what the older guy says. It's respecting. I'm doing aerobics, like shh. I'm just reeking of mezcal, and the ladies are kind of like, and dude, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, kaplong. Oh. Everywhere, I just puked all over myself right in the middle of the aerobics floor. The teacher, literally, here's what the teacher said. She goes, "Madre de Dios," which is mother of God.
Oh wow, it's bad when you hear that. All that puke on those leg warmers. I couldn't imagine it.
Exactly.
Can never get that out of the headbands either.
I remember too, Kev. One night, your dad. Kev is Rybo's brother. Your dad and mom, he was drunk, throwing up, and he blamed it on bad chicken McNuggets. Do you remember this?
Yeah, that's right.
Who, Kev did, or Ryan's dad?
Kev.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I think they were driving home and they saw him like stumbling down the street, and they picked him up. And then
they found him sleeping next to a garbage can. It was the McChicken.
That's what he said.
McNuggets. Yeah, oh, that's crazy. He's got him in a paper bag. Walking around.
Did you guys ever have to do that when you came home? Like whenever I came home from a party or wherever, I would have to go say hi to my mom, and she would kind of decide if I was sober or not. Right? Did you guys have to do this at all?
No.
Well, see, we used to always have like with Lee Wren again, his slouch parties. Every Christmas Eve, he'd have parties, and like we'd get home, like my brother and I would be walking. We'd still living at home at that time, and we'd, I don't know how old we were, like 20 years old or something.
You're of age though.
We're of age, yeah. But we'd show up, and they'd be sitting there. It'd be Christmas morning. They're waiting to open up presents, and we were just walking in,
just coming home. Yeah. I was always like that, always.
Like can't even look
from Lee's party. Yeah,
yeah.
Which he continues to have.
Yeah.
But I would have to, like, I still have this once in a while. I remember after I got kicked off of Dance with the Stars, I had to do Good Morning America, and I was fucking loaded. And I was going back to like, okay, I have to pretend that I'm talking to my mom. Hello, Good Morning America. How are you? Good to see you. I killed it, by the way. It was great, but I was super out of it. But I remember going home, you practice like, hi, mom. Hi, mom. Hello, mom. And also like either eating as much gum as you can, or at the time it was sucking on pennies.
Oh,
What?
vinegar.
Yeah.
Inside joke. Let's leave it inside.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you
that,
suck,
that was the dumbest thing ever. Suck on a penny, and they can't.
and that will make the smell of the alcohol go away.
The copper penny. Yeah. Yeah. You've done some legendary drinking with me, Chris, where you've gone back to work where I'm just like shocked. You know, really, for me, I'm done for like a good 12 hours of just being the angriest mofo you've ever seen in your life and ready to take a life or just fall asleep. I remember, I don't want to get too much off topic on the first time of drinking. I think it's just about drinking at this point, but being with you in Riot in LA, and it was WWE's SummerSlam. And we had been up all night having the craziest time, Ryan, just the funnest time, stupid jokes. Didn't even matter. Didn't have to be drinking, by the way. It was all comedy. It was just falling over laughing. But we did
looking for the ghost of Montgomery Clift.
The ghost of Montgomery Clift that supposedly haunts the Roosevelt Hotel. So we Google about him. You know, big movie star in the 30s. He used to drink a weird combination of alcohol and drugs, like some chemical, and he died like in some. Or I don't know, had some car accident, some bad shit. Anyway, we found out that he used to play the bugle down the hallway of like Hall 7 of the Roosevelt, whatever room it was. And so we would go down there. We're just drunk and also comedy and just laughing. We're like coming to the elevator, like playing fake bugles and just the biggest idiots sitting next to the door, just drinking out of the bottle.
But so it's SummerSlam, right? And I'm working. And he's in the front row. I've gotten him and our friend Riot from Australia in the front row. And during the show, he falls asleep. This guy.
Yeah.
Me.
Undertaker's in the ring. He's like this. And Vince McMahon, I was waiting to go for my match or whatever it was. Like, wake that kid up. Wake him up.
Kid, I was 40.
Whatever. You didn't have a mustache back then. You looked much.
That's true. I wasn't a real man.
You looked more like Paul Bernardo than.
No, I mean we aged differently. He gained weight. I went on keto. He lost his hair. We're two different people. For 3 years, I looked like him, identical.
But Vince McMahon is like, wake this guy up, and then Spewy gets stuck with the souvenir chair that you get when you sit in the front row and doesn't know what to do with it, and he's angry that he has to take it home with him.
Okay, listen. The chair is like okay, hang on. First off, I'm happy I have the chair, and I'm not kidding. Look at this.
Yeah. We did not plan this, by the way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not planned. I don't have a lot of nice, like, single little chairs like that. This one's well padded. But I was like, dude, I don't want this chair because you know what? I was traveling light, and then I got to pay for it, right? And it was like $45 or something round trip. Not like I take it everywhere I go. I didn't realize you're just supposed to get the chair and then take it home and throw it in the dumpster. But no, it's a nice chair. But I didn't want to take it. I was really mad that day when I left LA because we went a little too hard. I think we were there for almost 2 weeks or something stupid. Like, and I was just pissed off. I remember getting in a fight with somebody at LAX. Like, it was ugly, like outside the airport. And I'm not usually like that with strangers. Some guy came up to me after. He says, "You shouldn't do that to people you don't know. You know, people carry guns here." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But I probably because I had this chair and a little handbag, and that was too much for me. and my passport tied around my neck. I'm Canadian.
Oh, man.
See, and you know how much I'm enjoying COVID, by the way, being like that. It's great. I just walk around with hand sanitizer. Finally, nobody can judge me. Been doing it for years, and I'm never taking a mask off, even when we're out of this. Oh yeah, liar.
Oh my gosh. Let's finish this off with the story that we were going to tell about Lon's New Year's Eve party. We're going to tell it on the house party episode, but we did not. Possibly the craziest. Well, one of the craziest house parties I've ever been to, as far as just pure destruction, and all three of us were there. Correct?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I was a big part of it because Lon and I are really close. We lived 4 doors down growing up. So I was part of the planning and getting the house ready and everything. And when it got to the point that posters started getting up around the high school,
you're going to. Oh, sorry. Posters started going up at high school.
Yeah, I want to tell the story. The posters started going up around the high school, and the buzz just got huge. And I just said to Lon, I said, you should cancel this thing. I said, this is going to get out of hand because it was going everywhere. And Lon was Lon had a lot of friends, like as in he hung out with different groups of people. So they would spread the word and more people. There must have been 300 people in that house, a little bungalow. And when that New Year's bell went off, when it was New Year's, champagne bottles breaking all over the basement, and then just a bunch of violent idiots that we didn't know. Or I mean, you could tell the story better, Ryan. I remember you were one of them. Just kidding. Ryan did no damage. He was 100%. No, all of us were Lon's friend. We're not going to do anything.
So what do you remember about that, Ryan?
I remember one of the jokes was that like you had a pool table in the basement, and the joke was that it was an actual pool table because there was so much beer and like it was just full of liquid.
Like there was actually liquid, like the felt on the pool table sucked in as much as it could, and then the liquid was starting to rise.
The water retention was just coming up there, beer retention or whatever it was.
Because this was the time too. We all went to Westwood Collegiate because I think this was '89. So also everybody from John Taylor came, a bunch of different schools came. So it was one of those ones like we talked about with mine where it just gets out of control.
Yeah, super out of control.
Things are getting smashed, and pictures are.
Guys were kicking holes in the drywall for no reason, breaking pictures, like just going nuts. It was out of control. There was a ton of people there that nobody knew. It got past the realm of high school to like whatever. It just got way out of control.
Yeah, no respect. And then, so what did Lon do to try to gain control over this when it was just getting out of control?
I'll let you tell that story.
Lon, from what I remember, Lon's like, okay, I got to do something about this. And he came down with like a Chewbacca crossbow. he was like threatening people with a loaded crossbow.
It was a hunting crossbow. I mean, and then honestly, all I remember were kids running for their lives in the backyard, jumping over fences. If that happened today, I mean, CNN would be there, Fox would be there, it'd be all over the news, and yet nobody had a cell phone. No one took a picture of him pointing a crossbow or whatever he did to them. Well, yeah, but he cleared the party. He cleared the party. He took the law in his hands, and the statute of limitations is over. So congratulations, Lon. You never spent 10 years in the big house.
No, but the thing is,
a few people did take some pictures, like the pictures that were in his living room of him and family, and
took them off the wall and went home with them. But parties like that wouldn't happen in this day and age, anyways. Parents are much more involved and around than they used to be. Like the stuff that we used to get away with. Like my mom had a rule: as long as I called her at like 10 o'clock, I had to be home by 12. As long as I called her at 10. Dude, you'd be in the middle of a fucking Lon Wilby party. I'm like, everyone please be quiet. For 5 weeks. Hey, Mom, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're just watching a movie. Who's there? Just me and Spivak and Rybo. We're just hanging out. Yeah. Okay, good night. Love you. I'll see you in a couple hours. Fucking party. I did it. I'm free for another 2 hours. But yeah, you can never do that anymore because, cell phones and, whatever. So,
yeah, just an excuse for kids to go nuts. It was a house party. That's why I was so hesitant to have one. And when I had mine, that's why I had a list of rules. That's why, the worst thing that happened to mine, again, with toilet paper on a tree and somebody lit it. And I had the hose ready. I mean, this is a house party. I was prepared. I had two hoses, a hose at the front, a hose at the back. I had everything.
I remember
survival goods.
At one of the ones at Ahof's house, at Rybo's house. Your dad came home early. Remember the classic line? It was like, you got 5 minutes to get out of here. And 4 of them are up.
Get the hell out of here. Yeah. I had a great one once where my parents were at the Jets game.
Yeah.
And so we're there and I had, it wasn't a huge party. It was like, maybe 12 people there or something like that. And we're like, hey, my parents, the game's, we're watching the game and it was over. And we're like, okay, the game's over. Like, so we got to get out of here. My parents are going to get home soon. Right. So let's get it going. Right. And this guy, Jeff Turnbull, proceeds to puke in the living room. He pukes into this into a 2-4 box, and we're like, "Oh man!" My parents drive up like pretty much at the same time, and my dad gets home and he's really pissed off, and he had a golf club, I think, and he's like, get everyone to get the hell out of here, get out of here. I'm like, Dad, we were leaving right now, it's okay, don't worry, we're leaving. So everyone kind of goes outside, we've kind of get it under control, right? And then I'm downstairs and my dad's yelling at me, and I'm talking to my dad, and he's like, Ryan, he's just yelling at me or whatever. And then Jeff Turnbull starts walking down the stairs, falls down the stairs. And my dad and I are just like looking at him. He like kind of gets himself up and he walks right up to us, and he's just standing there and my dad just goes, "Who's getting you home?" And he goes, and he goes, "I'll get myself home, buddy." To my dad. And
no.
I'm like, dude, come on, and he actually had his car there. I'm like, give me your keys. We need, my dad's watching. And he's like, no, forget that. And he goes outside, and I started wrestling him. It was in the snow, of course, again, it's, minus 30, which I'm like, give me your keys. My dad's watching. You're not fucking driving. We're getting Grant coming to drive or whatever. He hasn't really drank. So, well, as much as us. Anyway. So then he's like, no. And I'm wrestling him and, push him down, finally get his keys. We drop him off at his house. This is a horrible story, actually.
Yeah.
Drop him off at his house with his car. He starts walking up to his door, and we take his car and went to the Palomino, or we went to the Downs to drink or something like that.
Downs.
With his car. We found out later that he didn't quite make it into the door. He didn't make it to his front door. He started walking up there. We took off without letting him get inside. We found out later that he passed out in a snowbank. And
died?
And he died. I don't know if he had hypothermia or he thought he was dead.
We won big. We had a trifecta over at the Downs at 13 years of age, betting on the horses with Irvass and Les Marks.
We did.
I don't know if he thought he was in bed or something, but he took his pants off. And his dad opened the door at some point, like in the middle of the night, and looked and saw his son without his car, lying in a snowbank with his pants down.
There you go.
So that's that story. So thanks a lot.
Those were the old days. The old days.
The good old days. And we got to wrap it up. This is good. This is a good one. It went in a lot of different directions.
Oh, and the chair. How crazy is that? That I'm sitting on that
funny.
chair that I did not want to take home with me. So very cool.
And the fact, good episode, guys.
There'll be some more drinking stories, I'm sure, on this.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's way more. Yeah, we start off with first time drinking stories, and you guys are like, "Well, I don't know if we'll have any stories." Like, we've only been drunk 1 million times each.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want sober stories? They're hard to come by.
Yeah, they're pretty, and those are boring. Exactly.
Yeah.
Guys, great time. And we'll see you guys watching at home in a couple weeks for the next exciting episode of the Winnipeggers. And don't forget to check out Spivak memes. And if you have any topic ideas, send them to
send them in
to the Twitter. I am Jericho. I'll take them and we'll see. We've got lots of topic names though. Bumper Shine, Annihilator. What you wearing, Rybo?
Grappler.
There you go. All right.
Just want to point out that's a Winnipeg City bus. Yo.
Very nice. All right, guys. We love you, and we'll see you guys really soon. And take care.
Cheers.
See ya.
Phrases.